Well, we did it. Japan is over with. I have posted my videos from my time there. I have edited them, and it has all come together. I was so nervous that something was going to come up and something was going to change, and then I wasn't going to be able to go or wasn't going to be able to film, blah, blah, blah. But we did it. Japan is done, dusted, over with. Our first major international trip for the channel is done. And I truly, truly hope that you guys have enjoyed all of the content that I was able to post from Japan. Super, super exciting. It was such a wonderful trip. And I thought today, in today's video, I would just kind of debrief, talk about my time in Japan in a more casual fashion, and kind of put that nice little bow on top of a wonderful trip, because regular reviews are going to start coming back tomorrow. So now that it's April, I'm going to try to film more, that now that the weather is actually turning. January, February, March is pretty hard to film here in Chicago just because everything's salty, everything's cold, everything's damp, everything's wet. No one has their cool cars out. So more regular videos are going to start to come out now after Japan. But how was my trip to Japan? It was great. Really, really loved it. I stayed about 4 days in Tokyo and 4 days in Osaka. I really enjoyed Tokyo more than Osaka. Osaka is kind of this it's still a giant city, but it's more of like an offbeat and definitely more Japan, if that makes sense, just because like there's a lot less signs in English. Tokyo, you can get around quite a bit with just your English skills. I don't speak Japanese, and so Tokyo was super easy to navigate. Just so cool, and being in Tokyo is just so, like, it's so eye-opening, just because it's like every movie that I've seen, and it's just so like incredible. It's so clean too. I stayed in Edogawa City, which is a neighborhood in Tokyo, and it really felt like a movie set, just because like everything was so clean, everything was so like perfect. It was very, very cool. I would walk to 7-Eleven every morning and get like a matcha cookie and maybe like a rice ball for breakfast. It was really, really fantastic. The car spotting in Japan is insane. I really thought that like 90% of the cars in Japan were going to be the same cars that we got here. And then I was going to notice, like, oh, I've never seen that. Oh, I've never seen that. Complete opposite case. I maybe recognized 1 out of 5 cars. And so I'll play right now. I did a video driving through a parking garage at a mall. I went to a mall just for fun. In Osaka, but I did a video like driving around and like pointing out cool cars. I realized I mislabeled like most of the cars in the video, so I'm not gonna post that video as itself, but here's the footage from it. There was like vehicles like Honda Freeds and Toyota Sientas, and every single car was like something cool, unique, or special, or something that we didn't get here. I could spend months, and I hope maybe at some point in my life I can go back and spend literal months in Japan or months in Asia, do like this 3-month arc of China, Japan, the Philippines, Taiwan. I would love to sample all these cars. Maybe that will happen at some point in my life, maybe it won't. But just seeing all the different cars was just eye candy 24/7. And yes, of course, I saw a bunch of Skylines, a bunch of Supras and Miatas and things like that. My favorite story, which I have no footage of, I went up to a temple in just outside Nara, Japan, which is just outside Osaka, Japan. A beautiful temple, absolutely gorgeous, like such a surreal experience to be there. And I pull up to the parking lot in my little Toyota Corolla Touring, and a Skyline, it was an R34, but I want to say it was like a GTS-T. It wasn't like a GTR, but it was a 2-door GTS-T, GTS-25T, something like that. And an older, maybe 40-year-old woman gets out, and in the passenger seat is what I would assume is her mother or mother-in-law or something, maybe like a 70-year-old woman, and in the back seat was maybe like a 20-year-old or 15-year-old girl. So 3 generations of Japanese women get out of this GTS-T, this like immaculate R34. They see me staring at them, obviously, and I look and I like make eye contact with the woman who was driving, and I went like R34, R34, and I just started giving thumbs up, and she like kind of looked at me, and then like it clicked in her head, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's she." So she was like showing me the car and all this stuff, and it was really really cool. But that like R34 Skyline, like maybe she's owned since new, like that's just the car that she likes, and like it was stick and it made all the proper boost noises. So that was just really, really cool to see and meet her. No idea what her name was, but she showed me her car with no English and with me no Japanese. So it was a very cool like cultural moment almost. And I was like fangirling over this like very regular R34. So the car spotting was off the chain, absolutely wonderful. Food there was fantastic. The food, like 7-Eleven food, was mostly my go-to, mainly because I had a translator for the first couple of days of the trip, which was great. Thank you very much, Luke. It was wonderful to have a translator, and he was so helpful, so down to earth, really good guy, friend of mine now. It was great, but the last couple days of the trip, I didn't have that translator with me. So I went to 7-Eleven most days because you could get away with English there, and like you just kind of hand them your card, you pick stuff out and hand them your card. I fell in love with the 7-Eleven sandwiches. They had these like rice balls, which were great, these matcha cookies, and the chicken. The chicken from 7-Eleven. It's salted Japanese chicken is what it's called, or they had soy sauce Japanese chicken, and it was so incredibly fresh. The 7-Elevens there are not the same as what we have here, which is interesting because Japan 7-Eleven actually owns now American 7-Eleven. It used to be the other way around, and then I think in like the 80s or 90s it switched. But the 7-Elevens are everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. And because they're so close to one another, they get like daily deliveries. So like they restock the fresh sandwiches multiple times a day. Like they get multiple trucks of fresh sandwiches a day. Which is really, really cool. So like you can go there and get like really good food, really fresh food from 7-Eleven. You could also, like every ATM I went to was at a 7-Eleven. You can print stuff out. You can basically use 7-Eleven as like a FedEx Kinko's type situation, where like if you need to print important documents, you could do it at 7-Eleven. If you have to pay your taxes, you could submit forms and stuff at 7-Eleven. So that was really, really cool. The food there was great. Had a bunch of just fantastic food. And I think the biggest thing was just the surrealism of being there. Like, as soon as I stepped off the plane, I remember I texted my girlfriend, which was like, it was 6 o'clock my time. It was like 4 a.m. her time or something like that. And I texted her. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm in Japan. Like, as soon as you step off the plane, and like you could see the highway from the international terminal, and there was like Toyota Hiaces and Toyota Alphards. That was like such a common sight, was vans. Toyota, wow, Freudian slip. Japan loves vans, and more specifically, they love Toyota vans. Every vehicle, almost every vehicle, is Toyota. There's Hondas, there's Nissans, there's, other products. A lot of, not a lot, but a shocking amount of French cars, a lot of Peugeots, which was interesting. A couple Alfa Romeos that I'll get to in a second, but vans. Vans are huge because, you have to move a lot of people around in a small footprint. So, like, vehicles like the Honda Freed is based off the Honda Fit, but it's a 3-row. A 3-row Honda Fit. Like, that's insane. And also there was the Honda Fit Shuttle, which literally is a 3-row version of the Honda Fit. You do see a couple French cars every once in a while, or European cars. That's like their status symbol is like Mercedes. Didn't really see many BMWs, mostly Mercedes. From what I've learned, like Asian cultures really like Mercedes over BMWs. Not totally sure why, but that's just the way that it is. You see a couple Mercedes, you saw some Peugeots, I saw some like Alpha like hatchbacks from the early 2000s that we didn't get in the States. So that was very, very cool. I tried to rent one. The plans fell through, unfortunately. I really wanted to review like a Renault or something like that. But you see those occasionally. But the interesting thing about Japan is that they don't have any import laws. So you can, like, if you live in Japan, you can import whatever car you want from whatever other market. So I did see a Chrysler 300, that I put that in the vlog. I saw a Dodge Durango. I saw a Ford Expedition from the early 2000s, which was insane. That was actually at Up Garage, just outside of Tokyo. Like, that was like the weirdest thing that I saw. I did see a GMT 400. I was like, hell yeah, that was so cool to see. But basically, Japan doesn't have any import laws because their homegrown car manufacturing is so strong. Everything's Honda, Toyota, Nissan, some Mazdas. Honestly, Mazda was like kind of a smaller company than what I assumed. Didn't see as many Mazdas as I thought I would, but I did see like some Mazda 6 wagons, which was pretty cool, like new generation Mazda 6 wagons. I saw a couple Mazda 3s, which was always cool to see, you know, my car, but in right-hand drive format. But yeah, most cars are Toyotas. Even the taxi cabs are Toyotas. They're specifically designed Toyotas just for taxi service, which was really cool. The bullet train was amazing. The bullet train was absolutely wonderful. We topped out at 205 miles an hour. You don't really feel it. And something I didn't put in the vlog video was that I actually had 2 giant roller bags with me. And so I had to get a special seat on the bullet train where I could put my roller bags behind me. And I wheeled them onto the train, put them behind my seat, and they were just sitting like on their wheels. They weren't like buckled in or anything. And the entire trip, they stayed in the same exact spot. I'm sure they like rolled up against the back wall, but they didn't move around at all. Like, that's how smooth the bullet train was, is that my roller luggage didn't roll around while doing 200 miles an hour. That's pretty ludicrous. But that was such a cool experience. Like, it really felt like it went by in the blink of an eye. I think it ended up being like just over 2 hours on the bullet train, but honestly, it flew right by. The plane ride was cool. Definitely very long, but you know, I just watched Ted Lasso season 1 and 2 and got through it. Shopping in Japan is fun. Consumerism is very much alive in Japan. I've mentioned it in a couple videos, but there's a store called Don Quixote. They have a song that's like Don 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 Quixote. It's kind of like a budget store. It's almost like a dollar store. It's not a dollar, but it's pretty budget friendly. And it's just like every like 90s infomercial shoved down your throat at once. And I found myself going there several times. It is like so overwhelming, but very, very cool. Very Japanese experience. That was pretty fun. And then like going out in the parking lots, there was always cool stuff. Like I saw this Daihatsu CAN bus, you know, in the parking lot of a Don Quixote. So cool stuff like that. Just overall, it was such a lovely experience. Again, I can't thank the people that made it happen enough. I will be back, but I did want to also talk about how this starts a new chapter here on shooting cars. Is every video going to be an international video? No. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do an international trip every year. But I think that is something that I want to pursue. I've always wanted the end goal of this channel to be international. And so doing this Japan trip kind of affirmed that. I can at least say I've done one international trip. I have that under my belt. You know, that's the end game for all of this, is to, yes, review cool old cars here in America. Obviously, I love that. I want to drive a Pantera and a DeLorean and, you know, a Citroen 2CV and things like that. But I also, my end goal would be to probably in the next 10, 20 years to start posting less videos, but doing trip videos of like, hey guys, I just spent 3 weeks in the south of France driving old Peugeots and Renaults. Here's, you know, 15 videos of those. I want to go to the UK and Scotland and Ireland and places like that. I want to go to Italy and Matteo, I want to visit and drive your Fiats. I want to, you know, I want to go to Greece. I want to go to Egypt. You know, I want to go to South America. I want to go to Brazil. I want to go to Argentina. I want to go to, you know, I would love to go back to Haiti. I've spent 2 weeks in Haiti. And I would love to review some of their Toyota pickups that have 600,000 miles on it and they change the clutch in the streets, you know, things like that. How do those cars still drive? I want to go to Australia. I want to drive Holdens and Utes and experience sort of how they developed through their car culture and the influence of Japanese vehicles in Australia. You know, they get more modern Japanese cars than we do here in the States. So, like, you could get a Toyota Crown Athlete, like a new one in Australia, or at least a several-year-old one. So that's the plan moving forward, is to take this channel globally as the sun is coming out, to start to do more trips like this. I actually have another shorter trip filmed by the time that this comes up. Nissan was nice enough to invite me to their Heritage Collection in Tennessee. So I want to do more videos where, like, I have like a little symbol on the thumbnail of like, oh, it's like a special series. That's it. I guess that's the best way of putting it. I want to do more special series of reviews here on the channel, not just, you know, commuter car after commuter car, sports car, things like that. I want to do like kind of set, like, bigger picture reviews. And so that's it. The series of Japan is over. I have posted all of the content from it. Thank you to everyone who watched it. Thank you to everyone who enjoyed it, commented. Thank you to the people that reached out. Thank you to Judd and Andy and Yuki for letting me review their cars in Japan. So cool. Thank you to the rental companies, even though I paid a pretty penny. I'm for sure losing money on this whole thing, in terms of the amount of money I spent renting cars. But it was important to do. I was in the country. You know, that was one of the things where I'm like, I'm not going to be in Japan again for a very long time, so you got to do it while you're there. But thank you to all the rental companies for being cool. They were super cool to work with. Well, I gave them a lot of money, so they should have been cool. They were cool. They are cool. Anyway, but thank you everyone. Like I said, you know, this really feels like taking a next step with the channel. And while the international trips aren't going to be all the time, hopefully they're more frequent. We start making this big world feel just a little bit smaller. So thank you to everyone who made all this possible. From the bottom of my heart, this was, you know, one of the capstone experiences of my life, and I can't wait for the next one. So enjoy the upcoming content. I don't quite know what it is yet, but normal reviews will resume tomorrow back here in the United States. Good night, everyone.